Okay, part two. Welcome back to Not Every Single. My name's Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
If you missed the first part, we're discussing My Chemical Romance's 2010 album, Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. Part one, we kind of covered the context, where the band was after Black Parade, kind of how they got into the zone for Danger Days. We went over the concept, the story, the characters, and now, finally, let's talk about some actual music.
I'm sure we'll talk about some non-music stuff too.
Oh, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go quite track by track here, but we'll start at the beginning. What better place to start? So we got this sort of like intro interlude thing, Look Alive Sunshine.
Yeah, so the radio DJ thing, it's not a new concept by any means, but used to great effect on this album.
Yeah, it's such a cool way to, instead of through the eyes of the main character, you're kind of through the eyes of a side character that's like giving you updates and telling you what's going on.
Yeah.
And so we start with him, Dr. Death Defying, saying some weird, it's almost like in this world they have their own like language developed.
Yeah, which is, how someone like Gerard, who is a writer, would think. It's like, we're not going to give you every bit of context. We're not going to spoon feed you. You're just in the world and you're going to try and figure it out.
It's cool. It's like, it's has some confidence in the listener to figure out what things mean. For example, when Dr. Death Defying says that something went all Costa Rica, that's not a thing anyone says, but you can kind of piece together that means it went poorly or something went wrong.
I imagine it's like giving the world that he's writing about a history, saying like something happened in Costa Rica that was a disaster, and so now they refer to it that way.
Yeah, maybe that was the first, in this post-apocalyptic world, maybe that was the first area to fall or something.
Yeah.
Just deepens the world. Mm-hmm. So you get to hear from him first, takes us straight into Na Na Na. We touched on it a little bit in the last video, but I said it was my favorite song from the album. Is it yours?
Yeah, it's up there. I feel like it takes me a lot of listens to an album to fully understand, the standouts. I think Scarecrow is up there for me too, actually, weirdly.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Mm-hmm. That's a cool one because it has that like drone thing, that sample thing, and it's not really something that this band does a lot.
Yeah. And they're definitely, they're bringing in a lot of different inspirations into this album, and they're definitely... Yeah, it's like you can't pin down anything, but it's still so cohesive. It's really brilliant.
The sound of the songs, although they vary in genre, this is a record that has Planetary and Sing in like right next to each other.
Yeah.
They do sound like they fit into this world that's been creative. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love when we talk about a cohesive vision, a cohesive project. Things fit. The comic, the music video, the stories, the songs themselves all just sound like, yeah, this all goes together.
And also, I think if, they had gone any less far with the look of it, if they had not gone like completely against the wall with the visuals and the characters and the costumes and everything, which clearly they love to do coming off Black Parade, but with this more brighter, cartoonish, anime-ish type of a thing, like if they just made a normal bunch of music videos, I think it might kind of seem more lame.
Yeah.
Like they had to go all in on every single part of it and show that this is like fully coming from their souls, because any tiny bit of hesitation on what they were doing would make this seem so inauthentic.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to shoot your shot. And I think those two scrapped heaps of songs kind of prove that. They weren't there yet. And they were sort of unsure whether are we diving into another full thing like this or not? And when they finally do, it works, and that's what we get.
Yeah.
Bulletproof Heart made me think of the Cars.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. It was like, well, just like that era.
Yeah, it sounds like some of those new wave type bands. I don't know if you call the Cars new wave. I don't know, but it almost made me think like, oh man, it'd be interesting to hear them produced by like Rick Ocasek from the Cars, you know, because he
Yeah.
does production. He produced the Blue album by Weezer, but Bulletproof Heart is that's one of my favorites, and from what I understand was actually a holdover from the scrapped heap of songs that was strong enough to make its way to Danger Days.
Which I'm not sure how much it plays into it. You know, there's write-ups that go more into detail about like some speculation, but what were songs from before that were sort of taken and changed and brought in to Danger Days. But it makes you kind of wonder like how good the scrapped albums were for them. Like we tried this, it didn't work. But then you're taking these little fragments and it gives depth and range to the final product.
Yeah.
Product. I couldn't say that for some reason.
It's like project mixed with
Product. Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and also just, you know, you got a lot more synths and stuff working in there. Like gone are the huge guitars of Black Parade. Now, I do kind of miss them. You know, something like Na Na Na, although it's my favorite and I love that song, like I would just like some slight more oomph in the production, sound of those big, huge, powerful guitars. And in Bulletproof Heart, it's still kind of showcasing like the guitars are taking a different approach. It's not meant to be so all encompassing like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say that the last 4 songs probably of the album are like slightly lesser to me. You want to look at the track list?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So like, you know, Summertime On.
Yeah, I would
A
agree.
little bit like just not as like out of the park as some of the other ones.
Now, do you know about why Vampire Money is called Vampire Money?
Yeah, I saw that in the
Yeah,
thread.
so they were asked to do a song for Twilight New Moon. Is that 2? The second one? I think it's the second one.
Yeah.
Which I only know because it has an amazing song on it by Tom York called
some
Hearing Damage.
Really good songs that they got people to do.
I know. I don't know how they got so many people to say yes. My Chemical Romance did not say yes and made the song Vampire Money. I mean, yeah, there's some fun stuff on the back half, but Vampire Money, I think, is kind of a standout and a cool closer.
That's kind of, I thought like, okay, it's a good solid closer, but it doesn't live up to a lot of the earlier stuff on the album as much.
Yeah.
I think it's probably on the level as like Bulletproof Heart. in a
Yeah,
lot
kind of that
ways.
second tier.
Yeah.
Although it does have the amazing moment in the beginning where Gerard asks if everyone is ready.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to talk about Sing because I think that especially at the time, and maybe even still, it's kind of a divisive song amongst the fan base, especially since it was a single.
Just a little bit too like emo.
No,
Or
not
like
I wouldn't call it emo
I
at
just
all.
mean, but it's an emotional, like the content of the song.
I guess
is very-
overly earnest
Yeah.
is maybe
That's kind of where I'm going with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that's people's problems with it is that it's just so like it's kind of this passionate, powerful ballad that I don't know, maybe doesn't quite stick the landing.
Okay.
I've actually grown to love it. It really grew on me.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that you get this sort of change in tempo and dynamic. There's a lot of like, obviously there's a lot of dynamic in this album, even within individual songs. And so it's the right time for something like this to come in on the album. I can see that opinion on this song, but I can also see that this is for like this song is for the people who love Black Parade.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways to me. And maybe some of the reason it wasn't as huge as Black Parade is because the fans of Black Parade, maybe, I don't think they felt abandoned, but I think, you know, Danger Days is a more like mainstream aesthetic slightly, but they're embracing the rock look more. And so if you're like so into Black Parade. It's like, well, what happened to my goth guys? Like, what happened to
Yeah.
like the people who look like me and sing about things that I want to hear about, and the things that resonate with me. So I think Sing is really like for those people in a lot of ways.
It's kind of the barometer. Like, you know, if you're going to like grow and change along with this band,
Right.
or if you were just, you know, in it for Black Parade and Three Cheers and the black and the, you know, that whole thing. And now you're like, now they're all colorful, singing about, you know, triumphant anthems for the kids or something.
Yeah.
I can see both sides, like you're saying. Like, I can totally see, like, if you're all in on just the gothic emo stuff and you're just like, this Danger Days thing, like, I'm not getting into it. So Sing is definitely kind of seems like the line where you either kind of go along with it or you don't.
I also have to say that I think that this bridge on this song is
Yeah.
so rad. It's like the greatest bridge. I love it so much.
It's very well written.
It's so, and it just like, it kind of like, I think there's like a key change in there at some point.
just keeps going up
It just
and
keeps
up.
going up, and it's so effortless. Like, he hasn't he said like that he really screws himself when he writes these songs, because
Yeah.
he's like trying to sing it live and it's basically impossible.
And it's also a mouthful word-wise.
Yeah, he really like, I mean, he doesn't go easy on himself when he's writing these songs. And the fact that he can pull it, not just pull it off, but make it seem effortless. And also, there's always like something that he's doing. Every time he's singing, he's not just singing it straight out. He's adding vocal fry, or he's switching between ranges. It's hard to even explain it, but if you listen, it's like there's never really a moment where he's not trying something.
Yeah,
When he's singing.
You're never bored listening to him
Right,
sing. He's always trying something. I mean, Black Parade is a shining example of that, where he's covering all these different characters and taking on different characteristics just with his voice, just with the way he's delivering it. And it's incredibly impressive, and especially because the Black Parade tour sort of just ruined his voice.
Oh, man.
In a way that could never really be fixed. And so he sounds different on this record. When Na 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 kicks in, every time I'm like, it just kind of doesn't sound like him. But he just goes with it and rolls with
work.
it.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to sound the same. I kind of like when people sound different.
Oh yeah, it's exciting.
time, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun, especially, and it's the perfect band to have so many different sounds, and
Yeah.
not only their music and that they're picking up synths more in this record instead of guitars, but yeah, a totally different voice and different deliveries. You got different types of lyrics that are more earnest and open that they've been before in certain ways, because Kids from Yesterday also has a bit of that, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of this like, it's definitely their sort of David Bowie Heroes kind of song.
I also note like Only Hope for Me Is You. He's almost doing like a little bit of that like Blink 182 kind of a delivery. You know what I mean?
I thought of like Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually one of my least favorite on the album because of that, because in the chorus you get that like inexplicable, like, you know, it's you can't help but think of bands like Taking Back Sunday, or
Yeah.
everything's just like yeah.
I know, it was so like, it was so different. And so I guess it must have been on purpose, but it was a little jarring. I don't mind it, but it's a little jarring to hear him doing that different kind of, it's all in the vowels. It was the like Heop.
Yeah.
May.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't think he's ever said me. It's always May.
Well, you can't, when you're singing like that, you can't do that with your throat, or else your voice gets destroyed
Yeah.
like it did on Black Parade.
Now, I know he said we're not going track by track. I mean, we're leaning into it. We're really going all over the place. But that
Yeah.
leads me to Planetary, I think, where I want to talk about, you know, just how different and fun the song is for this band.
Also, the fact that there's two really great songs in existence that have the word planetary in the title.
What's the other?
Intergalactic Planetary.
It's not in the title.
Is it? Oh,
This is called Intergalactic.
Intergalactic. Why
But
did they put planetary in the title?
It still counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or guys, in the song, 2 songs that have
Yeah.
the word planetary. Like, not a word I would think to put in my songs.
I mean, this is so fun. It really showcases Mikey pushing himself on the bass, this walking funky bass line. I mean, I'm sure he's never done anything else like that. And that must have been super fun to just like really start to have fun with that sort of thing and push yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no one wants to just be doing the same kind. Well, sometimes there's bands and you keep listening to stuff and you go like, are you ever going to do something different? How do you even tour? Like, don't you just check out on stage? Just kind of like, okay, this again, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And they always have such a blast. We'll get into like the live shows in a minute, but they just give it their all. And that's what I always have appreciated about this band. When I was 15 and 3 Cheers came out, and you know, watching them live on MTV and their music videos and stuff, it's just like they're uncompromising. They're so completely 100% themselves and giving everything they got 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's really admirable because it's easy to be too scared to try something like this, like something like Planetary, which again, another one I made the note on, which was like, this shouldn't even work. Like it should be like the theme song for a children's cartoon or something,
Right. Yeah.
you know, but like, it's still cool, and not everyone's going to think so, but a lot of people do. And, you know, you have to really kind of be vulnerable to not just put on that normal kind of rock star swagger. And he has this natural sort of rock star aura about him, but it's not because he's trying to be cool. It's like the opposite, you know?
Yeah.
He's just trying to be fully himself. And it's like, we tried to be cool. We tried to be a cool rock band,
Yeah.
and we couldn't do it.
It's also, you know, speaking of admirable, you know, for Frank Iero and Ray Toro, the guitarists, you know, it's also important to know when to take a step back, you know, and let these songs be what they need to be. And, you know, Planetary, it's not like there's some forced ripping guitar solo in
Right.
there, because that's not what the song needed.
Yeah.
And I think it must have been a little scary to be like, this is the record. Okay, there's a lot of synths going on, and
Yeah.
I'm sort of,
Aren't people going to be like, ugh, they went with synths? Like, I hate this. Or,
Yeah.
you know, this isn't My Chemical Romance. Like, people trying to tell them what they can be.
and just that the guitarists don't have as much to do. I mean, there's some crazy awesome guitar solos in here. Na 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 has a great one, for
Yeah.
example, but you know, it is not as guitar heavy of a record. And I think, you know, in the years since, like Frank has said, you know, that was like probably my least favorite record guitar wise, but like I was kind of more into the stuff we are doing before. But he's a good band member, and he went with what was going on and kind of where they needed
Right.
to
He
go.
didn't just go be like, but what about me, guys? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
I want to play heavy guitar, so I'm out of here, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. And he didn't take his toy and go home.
Yeah.
You know what, you guys? I quit. I'm taking the ball and I'm going home.
See, he's committed.
Yeah, he's committed. You got to be all in to achieve something like this. So is there anything else we need to cover? I mean, we haven't talked about important tracks like Jetstar and Cobra Kid Traffic Report.
I just want to shout out Scarecrow again.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I actually do love the Traffic Report, and when we get Good Night Dr. Death at the end, just him checking back in, giving us updates on the story, and we get that really funny, not the national anthem, was it the Star Spangled Banner at the end? Because if you don't know, back in the day being like in the 70s, I think, in the 80s, when broadcasts would end at the end of the night, they would play the Star Spangled Banner last before it was just static, before there was like infomercials
the
all
shows
night.
would just like end. There wouldn't
Yeah,
be.
that was it. It was just the end of programming for the night.
Like, we're going to bed. I don't stay up all night.
Yeah, that's why in one of my favorite movies, Poltergeist, it starts with the end of the night broadcast and the Star Spangled Banner. It's weird. Anyway, I love that it's in here. It just like makes you think of this like old analog way of communicating like they have to do now in this post-apocalyptic world. That kind of wraps it up. I don't think I have anything else to say, but I want to hear what you have to say. We're getting a lot of cool interaction and comments on this channel. I hope you got something to say about Danger Days. I want to hear it. What's your favorite song? What do you think of this whole colorful world?
What's the better touring look, Black Parade or Danger Days? Fight us. Tell us why Black Parade is cooler with the jacket, the band jackets.
Colleen Atwood.
Yeah,
design.
It is really good.
It's really good.
The fact that they were able to top it is baffling, but to me they did.
Yeah, I love the outfits that they wore on tour, bringing the outfits from the music videos onto the stage. I know they didn't fully go with it after a while. It kind of fizzled out.
But they still brought in really cool style even when they kind of moved on from the original outfits.
And that also occurred with Black Parade. You kind of get 2 music videos in character.
Yeah.
And then I think the music video for teenagers and the next one, then they're kind of themselves.
Okay.
So they kind of do that. It's 2 in the world, and now we're sort of actually.
And they're
just
okay, we blew our budget on our music videos. We have to do something simpler.
Exactly. Which is why if you watch the video for Planetary, it's like a fan-made video that they made official. Anyway, that'll do it. I'm really hot in my Killjoy-inspired jacket, so we're going to get out of here. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see us deep dive this deep into another MCR record, should we just keep going backwards, which would be Black Parade next? Should we go back to the beginning and do Bullets? Let us know what you think. Yeah. You got anything else? We done?
It's time to be done.
All right, it's time to be done. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
See ya.